I do what I do.
Racial scapegoating is a distraction. It's a smokescreen. The real game is keeping the working class people divided and desperate so that the powerful remain unchallenged. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the machinery, on the fear, on the rage. We're going to trace this pattern from the rise of fascism in Europe to the racial apartheid in America, to what's happening right now, as the immigration laws are weaponized to affect a political necessity. This isn't new. The tools are slicker, the language is sanitized, but the intent remains the same: to reassert racial dominance under the pretense of restoring law and order. So we have to ask, how did this happen? Okay. Now, let's talk some numbers. Let's talk some numbers. I want you all to listen to me, okay? Now, if you learn something, I should earn something. If you learn something, I should earn something. That's my rule. If you don't learn anything, you don't have to give me anything, okay? But I do believe when we finish with this broadcast, you're going to know a lot more than you know right now, okay? Now, let's start with some numbers, because beneath the policy, beneath the propaganda, this is about population, prosperity, and perception. And when you dig into the demographic data, when you begin to understand why fear among white Americans has metastasized into rage, then lights will begin to click. Now, let's start with the Hispanic Americans, so Latino, Hispanic, now the largest minority group in the United States. Back in the 1960s, Latino families were overwhelmingly poor, uneducated, and politically, they were invisible. It was a black and white country. But over the last 6 decades, that picture has radically changed. Between 1970 and 2020, the Latino population, the median household income, $62,000. Okay, that was back in 2023. They're outpacing white economic growth in many states. Latino entrepreneurship is booming, particularly in places like Texas and California and Florida, where immigrants and their children are no longer just filling jobs. They're creating jobs. They're owning property. They're influencing policy. They're no longer just the cheap labor America once expected. They are becoming the economic backbone of entire regions of America. Then there's Black America. Shout out to all my FBA brothers and sisters. Shout out to all the Africans and all the people of African descent. Okay? All right? The path has been a lot steeper, okay? And the obstacles greater, but the progress is undeniable. In 1968, only 10% of Black men held white collar jobs. Today, it's over 40%. In the 1980s, college graduation rates among Black Americans barely hit double digits. Today is 25% of Black adults under 35 hold at least a bachelor's degree. Black-owned businesses grew by over 30% between 2017 and 2020. And the engine of much of this progress, right? I mean, let's just keep it 100. A lot of the progress comes from Black immigrants and their children. When we look at Nigerian Americans, they're the highest educated. Over 60% of them hold bachelor degrees are high. Haitian Americans, Jamaican Americans, Ghanaian Americans. They represent a thriving diaspora that is educationally, economically, and culturally rising, despite the system that often tries to suppress them, because they are subjected to racism too. And the truth is, they're the least paid amongst all the immigrant groups, because not only do they have to deal with racism, they also have to deal with the fact that they're immigrant. I'm just talking to you. We give credit what credit is due, is notwithstanding the fact that they benefit from the hard work of foundational Black Americans and our sacrifices. All of these people do. But let's point it out, okay? Because I'm trying to establish with you all why we have this climate. And when you look at the Asian Americans, the quote unquote model minority, they're blowing everybody out the water. Asian Americans are the highest earning racial group in America. The median income sits at $95,000, and over 54% of them hold bachelor's degrees. So 54% of Asians, Chinese, Indian, South Korean, Philippines, they come here and they build generational wealth, not because of handouts, but through the mastery of education, entrepreneurship, and elite professions. Indian Americans in particular are now some of the most influential players in tech, medicine, and politics. These people are running billion-dollar companies and holding cabinet-level positions in Washington, D.C. They aren't flukes. These are patterns of success that challenge this white superiority. So what does all that mean? Well, what it means is the old racial hierarchy, the one that told white folk that they're inherently superior, is collapsing around them, or at least it looks that way to those who once sat comfortably at the top of the pile. And for white Americans, especially white men, okay, in rural and working class communities, this represents an existential crisis, and it's real. Birth rates have fallen below replacement level amongst white folk. The fertility rate for white women is now under 1.6%, not because they can't have children, it's because they don't want to. You see? But nevertheless, it's far too low to sustain generational growth. Look at the opioid epidemic that has ravaged white communities with over 70% of the drug overdoses in 2023. 70% of the people overdosing on meth is white folks. You understand me? And it's mostly middle-aged men. You understand? Their education rates are falling, especially among white males who now trail behind Asian, Latino, and even Black immigrant males in college. Think about that. This is a country that was allegedly white men were brainwashed to believe this is a white man's country. And they're not doing so well. You understand? Here's another thing. Economically, you got entire white rural towns. They call it the Rust Belt. They've been hollowed out. They've been replaced by automation and global competition and the collapse of the industrial economy. And culturally, the loss feels even sharper. America no longer dominates the world stage. We've lost wars. Have we even won a war since, Vietnam? Have we even won a war since World War II? Vietnam was not a winner. All these skirmishes we've been having don't look so hot. We have had a line of weak presidents, from Barack Obama all the way through to Joe Biden, George W. Bush, and we've become punchlines abroad. Even more, the most visible heroes, our athletes, our entertainers, our influencers, our innovators, no longer look like the old poster boys of American greatness, And so what happens is this myth of white male supremacy, this is the bedrock lie of American exceptionalism, is cracking under the weight of reality. And so here we are, a multicultural nation where the future no longer resembles the past. And for many white Americans, especially white men, this is like betrayal. I'm trying to get you all to understand where white men are coming from. And I know how y'all are. Everybody's against white men. I get it, but I just want you to understand the best way to understand somebody is put yourself in their shoes. So I'm trying to paint you a picture. It's an exercise. It's an exercise that many Black folk and people of color, you don't ever want to empathize with the white man. I know. In your mind, he's the worst thing that ever happened. I know, I understand, but still, put yourself in the mind of these white men, because remember, they've been subjected to some brainwashing. Okay? Right? The power they believe they were born into is slipping away. And with nothing left to lose, many are choosing to reassert themselves through policy, through politics, through force of violence. And not just here, but everywhere. Look around. Okay? We're seeing it in the streets of France and in Poland. You got refugee policies of the UK and anti-immigrant rhetoric in Australia and at the borders of Israel. This isn't just about American white rage. It's Western white panic, a last desperate grasp for a world minority with falling birth numbers to try to control the world. A world that's finally moving on after 500 years of white domination by Western countries. Look, and if you don't understand this dynamic, if you don't name it and confront it, it's going to consume everything in your path. Look, roll with me on this, man. Roll with me on this, man.
Black father, I have black son.
Tune in, weekly feeling inspired. From the heart, real talk ignite. Every episode brings the light. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's family. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins, enjoy the ride. Come say hi, catch the wave, don't pass by. Lifted spirits always inside. In this podcast, joy takes flight. Subscribe, hit the like, won't you dare. Share the love, you know it's fair. Join us every week, don't be late. Drop some coins in the collection plate. Drop some coins.
Donation. I thought it was a trap
Hey man, I do what I do.
You know that.
Your ass, class. Don't call me now. You tall black mother. Women up inside. I don't give a fuck about